In the depths of the galaxy, a silent cry for help echoes through the stars. A peaceful world, Lumina 7, is on the brink of annihilation by the ruthless Korthak Empire, an empire known for its merciless conquest and enslavement of entire species. Yet from the heart of a distant, war-torn planet, Earth's children rise to answer the call. Commanding the UES Defender, Captain Sarah Chen faces an impossible decision: respond to the SOS, even if it means charging into the heart of a war they may not survive. Outnumbered and outgunned, humanity's reputation as deathworlders is about to be put to the test. As Earth races to the rescue, they will prove that survival isn't just about strength, it's about the will to fight for something greater than themselves. The galaxy will soon learn: humanity doesn't conquer, humanity protects. The cry for help. The distress signal. Captain Sarah Chen stood in the command center of the UES Defender, watching the stars drift past through the massive viewing window. The ship hummed with quiet energy as it patrolled the outer regions of human space. For 3 years, Earth had been part of the Galactic Federation, and Chen had grown used to the peaceful routine of exploration and diplomacy. The bridge crew worked silently at their stations. Dr. Elena Vasquez monitored the science sensors while Commander Jake Morrison kept watch on the tactical displays. Everything was calm and normal until the emergency alarm shattered the silence. "Captain, we're receiving a priority distress signal," called out Lieutenant Torres from the communications station. Her voice carried an edge of concern that made Chen's stomach tighten. Chen moved quickly to the central command chair. "Put it on the main screen and translate it." The view screen flickered to life, showing static that gradually cleared to reveal a face that made several crew members gasp. The being appeared to be made of pure crystalline light, its features shifting like liquid starlight. Despite its alien appearance, the expression of fear and desperation was unmistakable. "This is Ambassador Kethvar of the Zephyrian Alliance," the being said, its voice carrying harmonics that sounded like wind chimes. "Our colony world of Lumina 7 is under attack by the Korthak Empire. They have surrounded our planet with over 40 warships. Our shields are failing, and we estimate less than 6 hours before total system collapse." The transmission wavered with interference, and Chen could hear explosions in the background. "We have sent this message to all Federation worlds, but we know that help may not arrive in time. If any vessel receives this signal, please help us. We are a peaceful people. We have no weapons, no armies. We study art and science, not war. The Korthak will enslave our entire population if they break through our defenses." The signal cut to static, leaving the bridge in stunned silence. Chen felt a familiar weight settle on her shoulders. She had hoped those days were over, but the galaxy kept reminding her that peace was fragile. "Distance to the Lumina 7 system?" Chen asked. Dr. Vasquez checked her instruments. "Approximately 18 hours at maximum safe speed, Captain." "Safe speed," Chen repeated thoughtfully. She looked around at her crew, seeing the same determination in their eyes that she felt in her heart. "Commander Morrison, what do we know about the Korthak Empire?" Morrison's fingers flew across his console. "They're a militaristic species that has conquered 17 worlds in the past decade. They specialize in enslaving other species and using them as forced labor. Their technology is advanced, but their tactics are brutal and straightforward. They rely on overwhelming force rather than strategy." "And the Zephyrians?" Chen asked. "A peaceful species that joined the Federation 2 years ago," Dr. Vasquez replied. "They're incredibly advanced in the arts and sciences, but they have no military capabilities. Their entire philosophy is based on harmony and nonviolence." Chen nodded. She had met Zephyrians during diplomatic missions, and they were among the most gentle beings in the galaxy. The thought of them being enslaved by the Korthak made her blood run cold. "Captain," Morrison said quietly, "our ship against 40 Korthak warships. Those odds are impossible." "Impossible," Chen repeated, then smiled grimly. "Commander, how long have you served with humans?" 2 years, ma'am, but I don't see how." "Then you haven't learned the most important thing about us yet," Chen said, standing up. We don't believe in impossible. Lieutenant Torres, send a message to Earth Command. Tell them we're responding to the Zephyrian distress call. Captain, Dr. Vasquez said, perhaps we should wait for reinforcements. The Federation. We'll spend 3 days debating whether to act, Chen finished. By then the Zephyrians will be in slave camps. No, we go now. She turned to address the entire bridge crew. I know this seems crazy. One ship against an entire fleet. But let me tell you something about where we come from. The Deathworld legacy. Chen activated the ship's intercom so her words would reach every crew member aboard the Defender. This is your captain speaking. We have received a distress call from the Zephyrian colony world of Lumina 7. They are under attack by the Korthak Empire, and they need our help. I know what you're thinking. We're outnumbered 40-1. The smart move would be to wait for backup, or let someone else handle it. She paused, looking out at the stars. But we're not someone else. We're humans. We come from Earth, and Earth taught us something that no other species in the galaxy understands. It taught us that survival isn't about being the strongest or the smartest. It's about never giving up, no matter how bad the odds look. The ship's engines began to power up, their deep thrumming vibrating through the hull. For 4 billion years, Earth tried to kill us. Ice ages, asteroid impacts, supervolcanic eruptions, mass extinctions. Our planet threw everything it had at us, and we kept getting back up. We learned to adapt, to overcome, to protect each other when everything seemed hopeless. Chen could feel the ship accelerating beyond Federation safety limits. Most alien crews would have been crushed by the gravitational forces, but humans had evolved on a world where survival meant enduring extremes. The Korthak think they're predators, but they've never hunted on a death world. They've never faced an enemy that turns disaster into opportunity. They're about to learn what that means. In the engine room, Chief Engineer Rodriguez pushed the fusion reactors to their maximum output. The Defender's speed increased far beyond what any other Federation ship could safely maintain. Other species built their vessels for comfort and efficiency. Humans built theirs to survive. All hands, prepare for combat, Chen announced. We're going to show the galaxy what Earth's children can do when innocent people need protection. The race to Lumina 7. The Defender streaked through space at speeds that would have been considered reckless by any other species. Chen stood on the bridge, watching the stars blur past, and felt a familiar calm settle over her. This was what humans did best, rushing toward danger to help others. Dr. Vasquez worked frantically at her station, analyzing everything they knew about Korthak technology and tactics. Captain, I've been studying their previous attacks. They always use the same strategy. Overwhelming force applied to the weakest point. They surround a planet and bombard it until the defenders surrender. Predictable, Chen mused. What about their ships? Heavily armored, powerful weapons, but they're designed for fighting other conventional fleets. Their tactics assume the enemy will engage them in traditional ship-to-ship combat. Commander Morrison looked up from his tactical console. Captain, we're receiving another transmission from Lumina 7. It's weak, but I can clean it up. The view screen showed Ambassador Kethvar again, but this time the crystalline being looked desperate. Behind him, Chen could see other Zephyrians working frantically at what appeared to be evacuation procedures. This is our final transmission, Kethvar said, his voice distorted by static. The Korthak have begun their final assault. Our shields will fail within 2 hours. We are attempting to evacuate our children to the underground shelters, but there are too many of them. If anyone receives this message, please remember us. Please remember that we tried to live in peace. The transmission ended, and Chen felt anger build in her chest. The Korthak weren't just conquering a world. They were destroying a civilization that had never harmed anyone. Engine room, I need more speed, Chen called out. Rodriguez's voice crackled over the intercom. Captain, we're already pushing the engines beyond their design limits. If we go any faster, we risk a containment breach. Then we risk it, Chen said firmly. Those people don't have time for us to play it safe. The Defender's engines roared to even greater power. The ship began to vibrate as it pushed against the very limits of physics. Any other crew would have been killed by the stresses, but humans had learned to survive under impossible conditions. "Captain," Dr. Vasquez said, "I'm detecting hyperspace signatures ahead. Multiple contacts moving toward our position." Chen's heart raced. "Korthak patrol ships?" "Confirmed. 3 vessels, heavy cruiser class. They're moving to intercept us." Morrison's hands flew over his weapons console. "Shields up, weapons online. But Captain, if we engage them here, we'll lose the element of surprise." Chen studied the tactical display. The Korthak ships were spread in a classic intercept pattern, designed to prevent any vessel from reaching Lumina 7. It was a good strategy against conventional enemies, but they had never faced humans before. "All hands, prepare for combat," Chen announced. "We're going to teach these predators what it means to hunt on a death world." First contact with the enemy. The 3 Korthak cruisers moved to surround the Defender as it approached the outer edge of the Lumina 7 system. Each enemy ship was twice the size of the human vessel, their hulls bristling with weapons and painted in the dark colors of conquest. "Incoming transmission," Torres reported. "Put it on screen," Chen ordered. The view screen showed the interior of a Korthak command bridge. The beings inside were massive, standing nearly 3 meters tall with thick, armored skin and multiple arms. Their leader, identified by the scarred battle armor he wore, stepped forward. "Unknown vessel, you are entering a restricted system. I am War Commander Grakthal of the Korthak Empire. Withdraw immediately or be destroyed." Chen stood up, her human frame looking small compared to the massive alien warrior. "This is Captain Sarah Chen of the United Earthship Defender. We are responding to a distress call from the Zephyrian colony. Stand down your ships and withdraw from this system." Grakthal's laugh was like grinding stone. "Humans, I have heard of your species. You claim to be warriors, but you are small and weak. Turn around and flee, little human, before I add your ship to my collection of trophies." "I'm afraid I can't do that," Chen replied calmly. "You see, we have a saying on Earth. When someone calls for help, you answer. It's one of the first things we learn as children." "Then you will die as children," Grakthal snarled. "All ships, attack formation. Destroy the human vessel." The 3 Korthak cruisers moved to attack positions, their weapons powering up with ominous energy signatures. Chen looked around at her bridge crew and saw no fear in their eyes, only determination. "All hands, this is the captain," she announced over the intercom. "We're about to show these bullies what Earth's children learned from surviving on a death world. Remember, we don't fight for conquest or glory. We fight to protect those who cannot protect themselves." The Defender's weapon systems came online with a distinctive whine that no other species' ships made. While other races focused on energy weapons and shields, humans had learned to use the raw materials of space itself as weapons. "Target the lead ship," Chen ordered. "Kinetic rounds, maximum velocity." The Defender's railguns fired, sending solid projectiles accelerated to incredible speeds. The metal slugs struck the lead Korthak cruiser with devastating effect, punching through armor that should have been impenetrable. "Impossible!" Grakthal roared over the communication channel. "No ship can accelerate projectiles to those speeds." "We're not just any ship," Chen replied. "We're from Earth. We learned to turn everything into a weapon, including the basic laws of physics." The battle was joined in earnest now. The Korthak ships fired their energy weapons, but the Defender danced between their attacks with maneuvers that no other species could survive. The human ship rolled and spun through space, its crew enduring gravitational forces that would have crushed most aliens. "Direct hit on Target 2, Morrison reported. "Their port weapons array is offline." "Target 3 is moving to ram us," Dr. Vasquez called out. "Let them come," Chen said grimly. "Emergency maneuver Alpha 7. The Defender suddenly accelerated straight toward the oncoming Korthak ship, then at the last second rolled underneath it and fired upward into its unarmored belly. The enemy cruiser exploded in a brilliant flash of light. "2 ships down," Morrison reported. "The lead vessel is trying to retreat." Chen opened a channel to the surviving Korthak ship. "War Commander Grakthal, This is your chance to withdraw. Leave this system and never return. But Grachthal's response was to fire everything he had at the defender. The human ship's shields flared as they absorbed the attack, but they held. Chen smiled grimly. Human shields were designed to protect against the worst conditions in the galaxy. End this, Chen ordered. The defender's final salvo struck the Korthak command ship in its engine section. The explosion could be seen from the surface of Lumina 7, a new star burning briefly in the sky before fading to nothing. Arrival at Lumina 7. With the patrol ships destroyed, the defender raced toward the inner system. As they approached Lumina 7, the scope of the Korthak invasion became clear. The planet hung in space like a jewel, its surface covered in cities that gleamed with crystalline beauty. But surrounding it was a fleet of dark warships, their weapons trained on the world below. 43 enemy vessels, Morrison reported. Everything from patrol boats to battleships. They have the planet completely surrounded. Chen studied the tactical display. The Korthak had positioned their ships in a perfect blockade formation, designed to prevent any escape from the planet's surface. It was a textbook siege, but it had one weakness that the alien commanders didn't realize. Dr. Vasquez, what's the status of the planetary shields? Failing rapidly. I estimate less than 30 minutes before complete collapse. Chen nodded. Then we don't have time for a careful approach. All hands, prepare for emergency insertion. The defender angled toward the planet at maximum speed. As they approached the outer edge of the Korthak fleet, enemy ships began to turn toward them. Warning signals filled the space around Lumina 7 as the aliens realized they were under attack. Unknown human vessel, came a transmission from the largest Korthak ship. This is Fleet Commander Vorthak. You are outnumbered and outgunned. Surrender now and I will grant you a quick death. Chen looked at the massive alien fleet surrounding the peaceful world below. Any rational military commander would have retreated or called for reinforcements. But humans had learned long ago that sometimes the rational choice was the wrong choice. Fleet Commander Vorthak, she replied. This is Captain Sarah Chen of Earth. We received a distress call from the people of this world. We're here to help them, and we're not leaving until they're safe. One ship against my entire fleet? Vorthak's laughter boomed across the communication channel. You humans are even more foolish than I believed. Maybe, Chen admitted. But we're also more stubborn than you can imagine. We come from a world that spent billions of years trying to kill us, and we're still here. What makes you think your little fleet can do what an entire planet couldn't? The defender plunged into the heart of the Korthak formation, its weapons blazing. The ship moved through space like a predator among prey, striking fast and hard before dancing away from return fire. The aliens had never faced an enemy that fought like this, with desperate courage and absolute determination. As the first Korthak ships began to explode, a new signal reached the defender. It was Ambassador Kethvar, broadcasting from the planet's surface. Unknown vessel, this is Lumina 7. We can see your ship fighting in orbit. We do not know who you are, but we want you to know that you are not alone. The children of Lumina 7 are singing your name among the stars. Chen felt tears in her eyes as she listened to the Zephyrian's words. This was why humans had come to the stars, not to conquer, but to make sure that voices like Kethvar's were never silenced. Hold on down there, Chen replied. Earth's children are coming to help. The battle for Lumina 7 had begun. The Deathworld Advantage. The Impossible Battle. The UES Defender carved through the Korthak fleet like a blade through darkness. Captain Sarah Chen stood on the bridge, watching as her ship performed maneuvers that should have been impossible. Around her, the crew worked with the deadly precision that came from growing up on a world where mistakes meant death. Target their command ship, Chen ordered, pointing to the massive vessel at the center of the enemy formation. If we can take out their leader, the rest might break formation. Commander Morrison's fingers flew over his weapons console. Captain, we're outnumbered 40-1. Even if we take out their flagship, there are still enough ships here to glass the planet. Then we'll have to be creative, Chen replied. She turned to Dr. Vasquez. Elena, What can you tell me about this system's asteroid belt? The science officer's eyes lit up with understanding. It's unusually dense, Captain. Thousands of rocks ranging from small boulders to planetoids. The gravitational interactions are quite complex. Perfect. Chen smiled grimly. Morrison, plot a course through the asteroid field. We're going to use the local environment to our advantage. The Defender banked sharply, diving toward the belt of space rocks that orbited between Lumina 7 and its outer planets. Behind them, the Korthak fleet gave chase, their heavy warships struggling to match the human vessel's agility. Fleet Commander Vorthak's voice boomed over the communication channel. "You cannot hide among rocks, human. My ships will blast every asteroid to dust until we find you." "Who said anything about hiding?" Chen replied. "We're going hunting." The asteroid gambit. The Defender weaved through the asteroid field with impossible grace. While the massive Korthak ships had to slow down to avoid collisions, the human vessel danced between the floating rocks like it was born to fly in such conditions. "How are they moving so fast?" demanded General Vorthak from his command ship. "Their vessel should be torn apart by the gravitational stresses." His tactical officer, a conquered species that had learned to serve the Korthak, studied the sensor readings. "Sir, the human ship appears to be using the asteroid's gravity wells to accelerate. They're treating the gravitational forces as sources of energy rather than obstacles." Vorthak's multiple eyes widened. "Impossible. No species is that skilled at navigation." "Sir, perhaps we should consider that humans are not like other species," the tactical officer suggested quietly. "Their homeworld is classified as a Class 12 deathworld. They may have evolved capabilities we don't understand." "Silence!" Vorthak roared. "They are just another weak species to be conquered. Order all ships to enter the asteroid field. We will crush them through sheer numbers." But as the Korthak fleet entered the dangerous maze of space rocks, the Defender struck. The human ship had positioned itself behind a large asteroid, using its bulk to hide from enemy sensors. When the first Korthak cruiser passed by, the Defender's railguns opened fire. The kinetic rounds struck the enemy ship's hull with devastating effect. But Chen had aimed for more than just the ship itself. The projectiles punched through the cruiser and continued on, striking a nearby asteroid and shattering it into thousands of high-velocity fragments. "Incoming debris field," Morrison reported. "The destroyed asteroid is creating a shotgun effect." The Korthak ships found themselves caught in a storm of rock fragments moving at incredible speeds. Their shields, designed to deflect energy weapons, were overwhelmed by the sheer volume of kinetic impacts. 2 more enemy vessels were destroyed, their hulls torn apart by the improvised shrapnel. "They're using the asteroids as weapons," Vorthak realized with growing horror. How did they calculate the trajectory pattern so quickly? The human advantage. On the bridge of the Defender, Lieutenant Amy Foster worked at the navigation console with intense concentration. The young pilot had grown up on Luna Base, where a single miscalculation could send you drifting into space forever. She understood orbital mechanics the way most people understood walking. "Captain, I've identified 12 more asteroids that could be weaponized," Foster reported. "If we can position them correctly, we can create a debris field that will disrupt their entire formation." Chen nodded. "Do it. Morrison, I want you to coordinate with Foster. Use minimum power shots to nudge the asteroids into the enemy flight paths." "Aye, Captain. But we'll need to get closer to the Korthak ships to make the angles work." "Then we get closer," Chen said simply. "All hands, prepare for close-quarters combat." The Defender accelerated toward the enemy formation, weaving between asteroids with maneuvers that made the Korthak commanders question their understanding of physics. The human ship rolled and spun through space, using the gravitational fields of the asteroids to change direction in ways that seemed to violate the laws of motion. "How are they doing that?" Vorthak demanded. "Their pilot should be crushed by the G-forces." His science officer, another conquered species, checked his instruments twice before answering. "Sir, the human crew appears to be withstanding acceleration forces that would kill most known species. Their ship's interior must be designed to protect them from extreme gravitational stress." "But why would they build ships that way?" Vorthak asked. Perhaps because they come from a world where extreme conditions are normal, the science officer suggested. If their homeworld is as dangerous as the reports indicate, they may have evolved to survive stresses that would destroy other species. As if to prove his point, the defender suddenly performed a maneuver that defied all tactical sense. The ship dove straight toward a massive asteroid, accelerating until it seemed certain to crash. At the last possible moment, it used the asteroid's gravity to slingshot around to the other side, emerging with tremendous velocity aimed directly at the Korthak flagship. The sacrifice. The defender's sudden appearance caught the Korthak fleet off guard. Chen's ship fired everything it had at the enemy flagship, but Vorthak's massive dreadnought was too well armored to be destroyed by a single salvo. The human ship's attack damaged the flagship's weapon systems, but it was still operational. "All ships, focus fire on the human vessel," Vorthak commanded. "I want them destroyed immediately." The entire Korthak fleet turned their weapons on the defender. Energy beams and missile volleys filled the space around the human ship, but Chen had one more trick to play. "Foster, emergency maneuver Delta 9, she ordered. "Captain, that's a suicide run," the young pilot protested. "The ship won't survive the stresses." "The ship doesn't have to survive," Chen replied quietly. "It just has to complete the mission." Foster's hands trembled as she input the navigation commands. Delta 9 was a theoretical maneuver that used a ship's own destruction to maximum tactical advantage. It was the kind of desperate gambit that only humans would even consider. The defender accelerated toward the largest concentration of enemy ships, pushing its engines beyond their design limits. The hull began to buckle under the stress, but the ship held together long enough to reach the center of the Korthak formation. "All hands, abandon ship," Chen ordered. "This is not a drill." But as the crew raced toward the escape pods, Lieutenant Foster remained at her station. "Captain, the navigation system is damaged. The maneuver won't work unless someone stays to guide it manually." Chen looked at the young pilot, seeing the determination in her eyes. "Amy, you don't have to do this." "Yes, I do," Foster replied. "My sister was on the colony ship that the Korthak attacked last year. She died in the slave camps because no one came to help them in time. I won't let that happen to the Zephyrians." Before Chen could respond, Foster locked the navigation controls and initiated the final sequence. The defender's engines went critical, and the ship began to break apart from the inside out. But Foster guided it true, aiming the dying vessel directly at the largest Korthak battleship. "For Earth," she whispered as the ship exploded. The turning point. The defender's sacrifice was not in vain. The explosion tore through the heart of the Korthak fleet, destroying 3 enemy ships and damaging a dozen more. But more importantly, it gave the Zephyrians time to complete their evacuation of the planet's surface. From the escape pods scattered throughout the asteroid field, Chen watched as her ship's final act of defiance lit up the darkness. She felt a hollow ache in her chest for Foster and the other crew members who hadn't made it out in time. But she also felt pride. They had shown the galaxy what humans were capable of when they fought to protect others. "Captain," Dr. Vasquez's voice came over the pod's communication system. "I'm detecting hyperspace signatures approaching the system. Multiple contacts, heading our way." Chen's heart sank. If those were Korthak reinforcements, then Foster's sacrifice would have been meaningless. The Zephyrians would still be enslaved, and Earth would face retaliation from the entire Korthak Empire. But as the new ships dropped out of hyperspace, Chen felt hope surge through her. They weren't Korthak vessels, they were human ships, and they were heading straight for the enemy fleet. "This is Admiral David Park of the 2nd Earth Fleet," came a transmission that reached every escape pod. "We received your distress call, Captain Chen. Sorry we're late to the party." Chen smiled through her tears. The 2nd Earth Fleet consisted of 12 ships, each one built with the same philosophy as the Defender. They were vessels designed by a species that had learned to survive against impossible odds. "All human vessels, this is Captain Chen," she transmitted from her escape pod. "The Korthak fleet is damaged but still dangerous. Their flagship is the large dreadnought at the center of their formation. Be advised, they have superior numbers and firepower." Admiral Park's laughter crackled over the communication channel. Superior numbers and firepower? Captain, you must have forgotten where we come from. We're from Earth. We specialize in impossible odds. The fleet engagement. The Second Earth Fleet struck the Korthak formation like a hammer blow. The human ships moved with the same impossible agility that had made the Defender so effective. But now there were 12 of them working in perfect coordination. Admiral Park's flagship, the UES Retribution, led the charge. The massive ship was twice the size of the Defender, but it moved through space with the same deadly grace. Behind it came 11 other vessels, each one a testament to human engineering and determination. All ships, attack pattern Omega, Park commanded. Show them what deathworlders can do when we work together. The human fleet split into 3 groups, each one attacking from a different angle. The Korthak ships, still reeling from the Defender's sacrifice, found themselves facing enemies that fought like no other species in the galaxy. Fleet Commander Vorthak watched in growing horror as his superior fleet was systematically destroyed. The humans used tactics that no other species would consider, ramming attacks, suicidal charges, and maneuvers that should have killed their crews. But somehow, they kept fighting. How are they doing this? He demanded. Their ships are smaller than ours, their weapons are primitive, but they're destroying us. His tactical officer, watching the battle with fascination, provided the answer. Sir, they're not fighting like conquerors. They're fighting like protectors. Every move they make is designed to shield the planet below. They're willing to sacrifice themselves for beings they've never met. Vorthak's eyes widened as he understood. They're not trying to win. They're trying to save the Zephyrians. Yes, sir. And that makes them far more dangerous than any army fighting for conquest. The broadcast. As the battle raged in orbit, Admiral Park opened a communication channel that reached every ship in the system. His voice was calm and steady, but underneath was the strength of a species that had survived everything the universe could throw at them. Attention all Korthak vessels, Park began. This is Admiral David Park of the United Earth Fleet. I want to tell you a story about where we come from, because I think you need to understand what you're facing. The human fleet continued their assault as Park spoke, his words carrying across the void to reach every alien ear in the system. Our homeworld is called Earth, and it's what you might call a death world. For 4 billion years it tried to kill everything that lived on it. Ice ages, asteroid impacts, supervolcanic eruptions, mass extinctions. Our planet threw everything it had at us. A Korthak cruiser exploded as the UES Valiant's railguns found their mark. Park's voice remained steady. But we didn't just survive. We learned. We adapted. We became stronger. Most importantly, we learned that the only way to survive is to take care of each other. Another enemy ship fell to the combined fire of 2 human vessels. You see, most species fight for territory, resources, or dominance. But humans learned something different on our death world. We learned to fight for each other. When someone calls for help, we answer. When the weak are threatened, we protect them. When bullies attack the innocent, we stand in their way. The UES Thunder performed an impossible spiral maneuver, dodging 3 separate missile volleys while returning fire with devastating accuracy. Every human in this fleet volunteered to be here. We could have stayed on Earth, safe and comfortable. But we chose to come to the stars because we knew there would be people like the Zephyrians who needed our help. Park's voice grew harder, carrying the weight of a species that had faced extinction and refused to yield. The Korthak Empire has built its power on fear and brutality. You conquer the weak because you believe might makes right. But today, you face something you've never encountered before. You face a species that becomes stronger when protecting others. The Korthak retreat. Fleet Commander Vorthak watched his mighty armada crumble before the human assault. Ships that had conquered dozens of worlds were being destroyed by vessels half their size. The humans fought with a ferocity and skill that defied all tactical understanding. Sir, we've lost 60% of our fleet, his tactical officer reported. The humans are using coordinated attack patterns that our computers cannot predict. They seem to anticipate our moves before we make them. How is that possible? Vorthak demanded. They're not fighting like a military force, sir. They're fighting like a pack of predators defending their territory. Each ship supports the others instinctively. They don't need complex battle plans because they all understand the same basic principle: protect the innocent at any cost. Another explosion lit up the view screen as the UES Defender II avenged its predecessor by destroying a Korthak heavy cruiser. Vorthak realized that his empire had made a fundamental miscalculation. They had assumed humans were just another species to be conquered, but these deathworlders were something entirely different. All ships, retreat to hyperspace, Vorthak ordered. We withdraw from this system immediately. Sir, what about our reputation? If word spreads that we retreated from a smaller force, our reputation won't matter if we're all dead, Vorthak snapped. These humans are not like other species. They don't fight for conquest or glory. They fight for survival, and that makes them infinitely more dangerous. As the surviving Korthak ships limped toward the edge of the system, Admiral Park's voice followed them one last time. Commander Vorthak, let me give you some advice. The Galactic Federation has many member species, and Earth considers them all to be under our protection. If you attack any Federation world again, we will come for you. And next time, we won't show mercy. The Korthak fleet jumped to hyperspace, leaving behind the wreckage of their ambitions and the knowledge that the galaxy had changed forever. Aftermath and revelation. As the last enemy ship disappeared into hyperspace, the human fleet regrouped around Lumina 7. The planet's crystalline cities gleamed in the light of their star, and the Zephyrian population emerged from their shelters to witness their salvation. Captain Chen's escape pod was recovered by the UES Retribution, and she found herself standing on Admiral Park's bridge, looking down at the world they had saved. The cost had been high: 17 human lives lost, including Lieutenant Foster and the others who had stayed aboard the Defender to ensure the mission's success. They died as heroes, Admiral Park said quietly, watching the memorial service being broadcast from the planet's surface. The Zephyrians are naming their capital city after Foster. They want to make sure her sacrifice is never forgotten. Chen nodded, feeling the weight of command and the pride of belonging to a species that would cross the galaxy to help strangers. Admiral, what happens now? The Korthak will return with reinforcements. Let them come, Park replied. Word of this battle is already spreading through the galaxy. Every species will know that Earth stands ready to protect the innocent. The age of easy conquest is over. Dr. Vasquez approached them with a datapad containing preliminary reports from the battle. Captain, Admiral, I've been analyzing the engagement. The Korthak ships were individually superior to ours in every measurable way. Bigger, more heavily armed, better shielded. By all rational calculations, they should have won. But they didn't understand what they were fighting, Chen observed. They thought we were another military force seeking conquest. They didn't realize we were protectors. The galaxy is about to learn something important, Admiral Park added. Humans don't fight wars of conquest. We fight wars of liberation, and there's nothing more dangerous than someone fighting to protect others. The Zephyrian Gratitude Ambassador Kethvar stood in the main plaza of New Lumina City, addressing both the human fleet above and his own people gathered around him. The crystalline being's form pulsed with colors that translated to deep gratitude and respect. People of Earth, Kethvar began, his voice carrying across space to reach every human ship. We do not have words in our language to express what you have done for us. You came when we called, fought when we could not fight, and sacrificed your lives for beings you had never met. The plaza around him filled with Zephyrian voices, their harmonic songs creating a melody that spoke of hope and renewal. We are a peaceful people who study the arts and sciences. We create beauty and seek knowledge. But today we learn that there is a kind of beauty in courage, a kind of knowledge in sacrifice. Chen felt tears in her eyes as she listened to the alien ambassador's words. This was why humanity had reached for the stars, not to conquer, but to ensure that voices like Kethvar's could continue to sing. Lieutenant Foster and the others who died today will be remembered forever in our histories, Kethvar continued. We will teach our children that when the darkness came for us, Warriors from a death world called Earth stood in its way. We will remember that humans fight not for themselves, but for others. The Zephyrian songs grew louder, carrying across the planet and up into space where the human fleet listened in wonder. It was a song of gratitude, but also of promise. A promise that the sacrifice of Earth's children would never be forgotten. The new reality. As the Second Earth Fleet prepared to return to human space, Admiral Park received a priority transmission from Earth Command. The message was brief but momentous. The Galactic Federation had voted unanimously to request Earth's protection for all member worlds. "It seems our reputation precedes us," Park observed to Chen as they watched the peaceful world of Lumina 7 rotating below them. "Every species in the galaxy now knows that if they're threatened, Earth will answer the call." Chen thought about the implications. Humanity had come to the stars as explorers and diplomats, but they were being asked to become something more: guardians of galactic peace. It was a heavy responsibility, but one that felt natural for a species that had learned to survive by protecting each other. "Do you think we're ready for that kind of responsibility?" she asked. Admiral Park smiled, looking at the memorial hologram that now showed Lieutenant Foster's face alongside the other heroes who had died defending Lumina 7. "Captain, we're the children of a death world. We've been preparing for this responsibility our entire evolutionary history. We just didn't know it yet." The human fleet began its journey home, leaving behind a changed galaxy. Word of the Battle of Lumina 7 would spread to every inhabited world, carrying with it a simple but profound message. Earth's children were now watching over the stars, and no one who called for help would be abandoned. The Korthak Empire had learned that their age of easy conquest was over. But more importantly, every peaceful species in the galaxy had learned that they were no longer alone. Somewhere among the stars, the deathworlders of Earth stood ready to answer any call for help, no matter the odds. The galaxy would never be the same.